Have you ever felt different? Kinda weird, like you just don't fit in? Well, all souls have this predisposition, but the question is, how do you deal with the juncture point at which you choose either to individuate fully and to pursue what will become your deepest power and source of uniqueness, or do you hop onto the bandwagon of conformity, abolish this sense of your unique nature, and just start to override all of those energetic signals within you by becoming part of the status quo? I want you to really think about this one, because it will explain the manifestation of many of your physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual experiences. It's the reason why many people are unable to understand the difference between wounding and their gifts, when in essence the two are often entangled. Where it all begins is where you as a soul come into this world carrying a certain corrective frequency which is connected to what is most individualistic and unique about you. Very often these are elements purely energetic in nature, like creative abilities that come in the form of a unique essence, a certain way of being able to perceive reality differently, where your mind works in a way which is not the way that the system wants you to operate. Being able to perceive subtleties and have a certain energetic awareness to you by default, wherein you can feel people's underlying intentions, sense fields, be highly empathic, connect to others in a more telepathic than conventional communicative style. When you combine these elements and look at them coherently as physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual aspects which set you apart from the collective biases and notions of how to be human, you end up bringing a unique divine spark by being emblematic of that energy of authenticity. If you start to look at yourself as a unique tuning fork, an agent of consciousness that can bring in, through your own perspectives, your own gifts, your own way of experiencing and interacting with reality, a gift that this world needs more of, you will never again have the question of, what is my purpose? What am I supposed to do here? What's the point of any of this? Because you will simply feel devoted to expanding that authentic relationship to energy and reality through yourself and to yourself, never leaving any doubt in your mind about the point of your own existence. And this is such a crucial thing to lean into, to dissipate any doubt or self-rejection that might still exist. But in order to understand this more deeply, we have to go back to the point, the origin of where that battle between uniqueness and conformity begins, which for many people is deeply subconscious. You might remember being a very different child when you were in your earliest years as opposed to the person you are today. And if you feel your temperament has completely changed to the degree that you're unrecognizable relative to your earliest child self, then it's very likely some of your uniqueness was sacrificed along the way. You don't want to relate to an aspect of you that could make you feel hurt or cause you to feel estranged in this world. And yet these aspects of you that involve your energetic awareness, your different way of processing emotions, experiences, energies, is what allows you to really figure out your deepest source of joy and love. What we're talking about is not just a matter of you embracing yourself, but it's actually about embracing the parts of you that allow you to achieve your highest purpose and level of consciousness, which require that you integrate the authentic elements of yourself that bring you into that elevated state of being. If we were to look at the earth as an amalgamation of different frequencies, energies, and emotions, then it's clear why, if we commit to just being a part of that collective field, we quickly lose sight of who we are on an individual level. And this is a subtlety that a lot of people fear. They don't want to let go of that connection to a greater whole, which causes them to feel more secure because they're always connected to others' perceptions, opinions, and standards. And there's a really fine line there between your own perspective and the perspectives that are sculpted by a larger algorithmic relationship within reality. You, however, have your own unique ability to clear that slate and to come back to the point where you feel within you what creates the deepest kind of alignment by registering the feelings that allow you to detect that source of alignment and actually choosing autonomously from there. What that means is you're willing to negate others' opinions, biases, and elements of the external reality and purely source from this place of inner gnosis, where you really feel into what is it that resonates at the deepest level with your heart and soul, and not just relative to what you're taking in, but what you're also producing within yourself as a feeling and an intention. It's very likely that when you first learned to create a perception about the world around you, there were already certain lenses applied by parents, by different societal expectations, that caused you to lose sight of the sacredness of your own ability to feel things via that vantage point within. It's like the opposite of rose-colored glasses. There's a subtle tainted effect which is applied by other people not knowing how to deal with that pure energy that you hold. Many children unfortunately end up dealing with this kind of a split. They're shamed simply because what they carry is a kind of softness, curiosity, innocence, openness, receptivity, and gifted nature that doesn't fit into the bandwidth of adults' consciousness, their parents' ability to hold space for that experience, or the systems that will later corrupt that authentic drive even more via restrictions in the education system and in other larger level models that aspire to create a kind of assembly line human. And that's what needs to be healed by understanding actually nothing can get in the way of our relationship to our inner child but us, because ultimately if you commit to reshaping that relationship by now seeing yourself not through the lens of the prior shaming, guilt, and rejection, but through a deeper love that melts all of those forms of inner resistance, you will learn to come back to square one, and hopefully not even stop there. That is merely the start of a much more extensive process of fortifying that relationship to the soul essence, and then bringing out this authentic signature until it becomes a signal strong enough to reshape reality around you. I want you to feel into what are these unique elements that you experienced as a child. Unique abilities, gifts, ways of playing, interacting with the world, just experiencing your own freedom. Remember back to the days when you had a free and open nervous system, when you felt emotionally clear and like you didn't have to discharge any negativity in order to create clarity for yourself, but when you knew presence as that soul medicine, when you were able to freely connect with people without needing to hold anything back because you had not yet experienced the limitations of that free expression. And now feel into when any kind of a split emerged, when you started to compartmentalize these various aspects of you, or, even more severely, when those unique parts started to receive the shunning. If you were to accept that your field has some kind of eccentric way to it, whether that means that you have a unique way of taking in energies, you need more downtime to recover from high stimulation experiences, or if you simply accepted that you may be one of the 20% of individuals around the world who classifies as a highly sensitive person, an individual who feels so many different frequencies and energies that they constantly need to be aware of the effects of these energies on their nervous system and on their overall state of being. Because when you feel so much, that means you have a unique energy to bring into this world. Perhaps a healing ability, deeper wisdom, an ability to connect with people in a way that is beyond the physical dimension. But in order to support that kind of an energy body, it's important to also learn radical discernment, to set proper boundaries, to know when to say no to too much stimulation that can flood the body and create a sense of hyperarousal, which can make it difficult to thereby share those gifts and to free the deeper capacity to lean into that wisdom. Uniqueness is what heals. It's the antidote to all of these mass effects of conformity and the diseased nature of the collective psyche caused by an over-reliance on structure, groupthink, hive mind consciousness, everybody blending in, and forgetting the sacredness of unique feeling and connecting to the heart's consciousness. Meanwhile, these individuals, likely like you if you're listening to this, feel a sense of not even being able to embrace that status quo because you have a soul memory of what balance and harmony really feels like. And so for you to blend into the status quo would be to betray your very nature and to experience a kind of death of that authentic essence, which simply wants you to continuously expand the energy coming through you. What if you were to flip that and see that the source of all of your prior wounding is the very element proving that you carry the counterbalance to all sources of wounding on the planet, meaning everything that created your pain is also an element of the collective pain body, which can only be transmuted if you do not choose to uphold a pain-body relationship within yourself, but lovingly retaliate by rebelling in the most sacred way of all, which is to come back to the point of self-love and to reignite all of those hidden abilities, those deeper powers, to actually have faith in the need for all of us unique humans to play our own part, to share this knowing, to express in that coherent energy, to share love in our own way, and to attend to ourselves as these sacred tuning forks that we are, because we each hold that ability to send much more positive energies through us that can impact the collective, if only we stop suppressing and allow ourselves to be a part of the entangled healing web, which is the noosphere in essence. This is an all-encompassing element of consciousness, as literally anything that you feel right now is creating that victimhood and a condition of separation between you and the all, is also illuminating where an element of the all wants to be healed within you through the aspect of your uniqueness that you may have been protecting within you. Very often we are martyrs to our own pain body experience, thereby affirming the pain of so many other people around the world that are stuck in this constant victim perpetrator abuse cycle. Those wounded yet gifted souls that are afraid of shining and really embracing their brilliance because they're afraid of overstepping the line of those that perpetrate the abuse and rejection, meanwhile failing to see that the perpetrator has always done the exact same thing to themselves. Anyone that created the abuse cycle, first and foremost, lost a loving relationship to that divine spark within, and thereby ended up creating even more of that same painful pattern, thereby creating a sense that the shadow is consuming the light body, an expression of the whole human. So this is the moment to take back your power uniquely by sensing, are you feeding the collective pain body and staying in your own by keeping the split alive? Or are you actively choosing to see where you can embrace the beauty, depth, and wisdom of all these chambers of your conscious experience, healing the physical space by really sensing where can you unclench yourself, free up the fascia, allow for emotional energetic flow, and then sense emotionally where does that bandwidth want to actually take you when you stop fearing the depth of your feelings, when you let yourself fully experience them as passageways into divine expression, which then clear up your mental field by allowing you to see things with a clarity and structure that brings even more higher level truths to mind and heart, which ultimately leads you back to the spiritual frontier from which you even receive the inspiration to go through this entire integral process of self-realization, and then to bring through you what others will also benefit from, as this spiritual energy is ultimately what creates the healing, and it's also what initially created the wounding. It's a matter of how fully you choose to love in an indivisible way, by even forgiving those that weren't able to first validate the experience, because you realize that's actually the key to seeding self-love and deeper wisdom, embracing your individuality, because perhaps you are the only one who is able to see those sacred aspects of you and then to bring them to life in a way that helps to heal the rest of the collective.